Hello and welcome to the arbitration conversation. So as promised from the very beginning, when we talked about having the arbitration conversation, we thought we really want to get fresh, young voices, new voices who are really rising stars in the arbitration field. And today we do have exactly that, a rising star in the arbitration field that I had the pleasure of having in my class. She was an LLM at the University of Missouri School of Law in Dispute Resolution, Chimdimma. And Chimdimma, she lives in Nigeria, but she is now the operations manager of the International Mediation Institute, IMI. Along with that, she has done several different academic degrees and is currently in practice and does consulting as well, which I think is really cool in dispute management. So I want to ask you all about everything you've done and how you've been able to become such a rising star in the field. So first of all, thank you, Chimdimma, for taking time with me today. It's good to see you again.
It's good to see you too. Thank you so much for having me. So I'm really excited to be here, and thank you so much for considering me to be a rising star. It's very encouraging.
No, it really is. And part of it is what we were talking about right before we taped. I asked, how does somebody break into the field? You think about it, you maybe take a class, you maybe take arbitration, you take mediation, you maybe do a training, but how do you really break in? I mean, how do you become operation manager, for example, for IMI at such a young age? So I think maybe you have some good advice for, students maybe who watch this video or somebody else who's thinking, gosh, how do I break in? How do I make this jump? I mean, that's really great. So what advice do you have to share, and how did you get to where you are?
Okay, for me, I really took an interest in mediation, arbitration really early, like from school, from university. So I took an interest in mediation, arbitration, ADR in general from university, and I just kept building on that. So I think mostly what really helps people to sort of break into the field is interest. And of course, the interest, you need to actually put in the work, because a lot of people just do the trainings, get the certifications, then it ends there. And of course, it's not going to work for you that way. You need to put in the work, actually look for mentorship, look for opportunities. And it's not really just arbitration, like sitting as arbitrator or secretary. There are also different aspects of arbitration practice. There's academia. You can write, you can teach. There's so many other things you can consider. So not so much focusing on, okay, I'm trying to look for disputes to resolve, which is fine. Also consider other ways to develop yourself. And of course, you have to put in the work, put in the effort. Some just want the certification, and that's okay. That's okay. It depends on what you want. But if you really want to break out into the field, you really want to work in arbitration, work in mediation, you need to put in the work. And you also need to position yourself properly, look for opportunities. I started working with the Institute of Chartered Mediators and Conciliators straight out of law school. And that helped me a lot to sort of build a foundation. And now I'm with IMI. So it helps to just keep building. So position yourself properly.
I love that point though, because I think it also builds relationships. I mean, right away, I just feel like there's so many different relationships that matter. I'm sure along the way, you meet different people, you get your name out there, and then that you never know where something will lead.
Definitely.
So what other sort of ideas and kind of, as a young practitioner in Africa or specific to Nigeria, have you seen, are there any new developments or things for individuals to think about?
Okay, so for young practitioners or practitioners in general, there are a lot of new, policies coming up for arbitration, lots of new opportunities opening up, because there are so many new ADR centers, so many arbitration mediation centers springing up all over the country, which is really good. A lot of people are beginning to consider arbitration, so many of them all over the place. I think in Abuja alone, where I live, there should be about probably almost 10. And so there are lots of arbitration centers springing up and a lot of opportunities there. For instance, there's one, the Nigerian Chamber of Commerce Dispute Resolution Center has started a mentorship program. So they pair younger practitioners with, of course, more experienced practitioners, sort of learn from them. And they're also giving more opportunities to young practitioners, because a lot of young practitioners, running an arbitration, mentorship, so many running mentorship programs. And they also begin to recognize young practitioners more, because it's a bit difficult for young practitioners, because you're done with the certification and you want to practice now. And when you reach out to organizations to sort of like accredit you as a neutral, they tell you need to go get some experience. And you're asking yourself, how do I get the experience if you don't give me the opportunity to practice? So centers like this are actually working on giving you the experience before they actually accredit you as a neutral, which is really wonderful. So those are lots of things that people can really take advantage of. And of course, like I said, writing, can write, there's a lot, you can write and get a lot of recognition from that. And there are so many webinars, look for opportunities to speak, to share knowledge. So there's a lot coming up that people can really take advantage of. It can be tough sometimes, but if it's really what you want.
And I think the other point, though, is you have to take chances, because I know one of the reasons I see you as a rising star is you jump at it. When I asked you to present with Cyber Week, you right away jumped right in. And I just think that taking those chances, I think, can be really beneficial for young practitioners.
Yeah.
This other piece with the mentorship program, that's really interesting. It's also, I did not realize that there were all these new arbitration centers. Why do you think that's happened more recently?
Well, I wouldn't say it's more of a trend. I think people are really seeing the need to look to arbitration, to look to mediation now, because they see the issues with the courts and they see it's more convenient for them. So lots of people are beginning to look to most, I would say maybe the private sector. There are several court-connected ADR centers in Nigeria, so many. Some states even have 2. There are so many in Nigeria, but lots of people are beginning to look more to ADR centers. So there are so many springing up in the private sector as well. So a lot of people are beginning to look towards arbitration, look towards mediation, because it works better for them. It's convenient, it can be quicker, it works better. So a lot of people are beginning to consider that. And also, I would say maybe it's a little bit of a trend. A lot of people see it coming up, so they also want to, get into it as well. Yes, almost like a trend.
Yeah. Well, and I wonder, yeah, right. Well, and the other piece, I wonder to what extent, I'd be curious to get your thoughts, especially with the pandemic and things moving online. I think the mediation and arbitration have perhaps moved online more quickly than some of the court processes.
Yes. Okay, so of course, with the pandemic, ODR just, blew up. It was exciting. A lot of people were interested. ODR, online mediation, online arbitration, what's this? Everyone was it was exciting altogether. And of course, with the pandemic, it helped us pass time. There are so many webinars, a lot of certification trainings. You go on LinkedIn, there are so many advertisements, so many openings for trainings. So there was a lot of interest in online arbitration, interest in online mediation. But for the court processes, that was a bit more difficult, because at least with the private sector, you can get around it somehow. We're all very flexible, we can handle it, but the courts are a bit more, let's say a bit more strict or inflexible, because they have like a full structure up there. So I know we tried using Zoom a couple of times, but it didn't work because there were so many people and keep saying, my Lord, can you hear me? My Lord, can you hear me? Can you see me? I'm sorry. So it became really difficult, because on its own, some of the courts are still, they're not digital yet. Mm-hmm. So it was a really great challenge. And of course, some people are just not comfortable with technology. Some people don't understand technology and they don't want to try to understand technology. So it was really difficult with the courts. So the private sector just continued. But with the way online arbitration, online mediation just came in, it might be. But it's, sorry, Amy. Okay, so with the way online arbitration, online mediation just came into the scene so quickly, I think the interest is dwindling a bit, because things have come back to normal, especially in Nigeria. You see that people want to have physical hearings, because even with businesses, everyone had to move their practice online. So things are opening and people are just going back to the way things were as best as we can, as safely as we can. So it's, because then it was not really an alternative. It wasn't really like a choice. Okay, there's online arbitration, there are online methods available, let's try this. It was more that there's nothing we can do, we have to do this. So now that we sort of have an option, we're beginning to sort of regress to physical hearings. And every now and then, some people still try to, adopt online methods, but everyone is sort of, okay, probably we can still go to physical hearings. Like with trainings, last year, there were so many online trainings. Even IMI began to recognize online trainings by already approved certified mediator training programs, because it was more conclusive. We didn't have a choice. We had to do it as safely as possible. So there are so many standards in place, so many policies that probably you can't have more than 30 and in class at one time, and probably need to have a certain number of facilitators be able to manage the entire class online, because it's going to be more challenging. But now people are not really interested in online trainings anymore. I want to go back to in-person trainings. I'm not comfortable with this. My network is very unstable. I won't get anything during the training. So a lot of people are beginning to, I won't say lose interest, but beginning to take more interest again in in-person trainings. So I wouldn't say it's disappearing, but people, it was exciting. Now it's not so exciting. It's not so exciting anymore.
But that's an important observation. Actually, I like that, because, we assume everybody, you hear so much about everyone moving online, but actually a lot of people are also sort of retreating back to in-person where possible. I mean, I think in the US, in Nigeria, I think you're better off because right now we're sort of experiencing another surge in cases with the Delta variant. And so I think people are still online to a large extent, but I definitely can see why. I mean, obviously I have internet issues. We just talked about that. I think a lot of people miss the days of being in person, for so mmany different reasons. So, it still has a very important place. But what will be interesting is to see how, after the pandemic, a year from now, how ODR has weathered, right? I mean, I still think there might be a growth in different online mechanisms. Yeah.
Definitely.
But maybe more of the text-based and less of the video.
Yes. I think part of the reason why people, I wouldn't say not really comfortable, but choose to do probably text-based or in-person, because of course our internet connection can be very unstable. And there are so many reasons. I just read online that some cables under the sea were damaged. So there's so many different reasons. But I think we've gotten to the point that we're not considering so much, why are we having bad internet connection, but okay, what do we do now to manage it? So a lot of people have invested in so many different network providers. I know someone that has up to 5. So if one stops working, you switch. If one stops working, you switch. So it can be expensive subscribing on 5 different networks. It can be expensive and very inconvenient.
Yeah,
and of course, yes, it's really expensive. Right. And it's very inconvenient.
Well, not only that, but that really makes a huge gap between the haves and the have-nots, right? So if you have the money to have that many networks versus, that's crazy. 5 networks, that's a lot.
Yeah, you may have like really good internet connection in one place, then you go somewhere else, it's not working. Probably your office is good, at home it's not good. Back when I was working at ICMC, sometimes the network could be spotty in some places. So if we want to do online meetings, we have to like shift to a particular place. Even right now on my own, sometimes my router doesn't work in certain places. Like right now, I find that it works better when it's close to me. So right now it's just here beside me because I find that it works better when it's close to me. So you might end up getting something and you get home and it's not working. So it can be really difficult when you go back and buy something else, then it doesn't work. So you find that you're going out, you're going for meetings, and you're carrying like 5 different modems with you. So it can be really
yeah.
So sometimes people just say, okay, let's just leave this all together.
Yeah. No, I definitely understand that for sure. Wow. Well, listen, I do have to say it was really good to see you again, Chimdimma, and thank you so much. I look forward to just watching your career and seeing all the great and amazing things you're just going to keep on doing. So thank you so much, and I really appreciate your taking time for the arbitration conversation.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you so much.